You may be too attached, but it's okay. It's perfectly humanly natural. Why are you attached though? You may wonder, or maybe I would even wonder. Attachment comes from the mind, like everything else. But if you get to the basis of your attachment, something in your life happened. So it's up to you to go deep inside of here and figure out, why are you attached to the things that you're attached to? Some of us are attached to people. Some of us are attached to objects. A lot of us are attached to our phone. So it's all about not relying on attachments. Because I feel like life comes with attachments, but at the same time, you have to learn to not be as attached to certain things. Like, for example, I know when I was younger, I used to be attached to playing the game. I used to be gaming all day and night, just playing it. Get home from school, playing the game too much, to the point it's affecting my grades, it's affecting my life. Even like sometimes when I watch certain TV shows, you ever watch the TV show for so long, you're just watching that TV show and so much to the point where you just don't function. Like, you'll binge watch something to the point where I'm just gotta watch this next episode, and it just gets so repetitive. That's attachment till you're done. Then there's no more attachment. It can be very unhealthy. Attachment a lot of times leads to trauma. For example, why are you attached to that girl? Because she brings you a sense of peace and mind, right? Or is it the first girl that you ever loved? Or did you not have a lot of love from your own mother? Or vice versa, your own father? So you love hard on this specific individual? Well, that's trauma, People operate their lives based off of the trauma that they experience in their own human experience. You are a product of your parents. Genetically, DNA have a life, but also based on the trauma. If you know your parents build your first trauma in you, don't do this, don't do that, hit you. That builds fear as you are a child. Then your teacher, they build trauma on you. Oh, you go to detention, you'll stand in the corner, this and that, So these people instill this trauma and this fear in you of not doing certain things, but also your parents, based on how they raised you and communicate with you, create a lot of how you're going to end up being as an adult. That doesn't define you, but, it do become kind of an attachment, because you somewhat of a point need attachments throughout your life. You need to learn certain things to operate in a certain type of way. But a lot of this can be very low vibrational and very negative. Like, for example, for me, okay, I remember I was very attached to a certain individual, and she was more so like the first girl I really truly got that sense of attachment from, being older, but you got to get out of that, because at the end of the day, you are the person that yourself you need to be attached to. This is your attachment. But even this, to a point, isn't your attachment if you go even deeper. You need to be attached only to yourself, because at the end of the day, your consciousness, you are born alone, you're going to die alone. This is your human experience. You're experiencing the world through your own lens. So this is all based on your own life and everything. Now, I will say that it gets tough, it does get tough. Sometimes you feel like you're gonna suffer if you don't have those attachments. You're gonna suffer if you don't have the woman in your life. You're gonna suffer if she just gets up and leave you. But I promise you, everything's a test. Everything happens for a reason, and everything's a test. All you need to do is just keep pushing in your life, and I promise that everything will get better. Like, for example, me. I'm a perfect example. I love it, give my own perfect examples. Like, after I could finish talking to that girl, you know, I was crying, sad, and everything. But after a while, it built my character of how I should operate in my next, you know what I'm saying, situations and relationships or whatever. And it kind of built me into the person I am today. And even me, I still get attached to certain things because I know when you start talking to that new person, it's like, oh, you get attached. But you gotta learn to like not get attached, because at the end of the day, something can change in a blink of an eye, and now you're upset or your emotions hurt. You gotta know and love being alone with yourself, and love, like, you know, just everything about like you. Because, for example, like your phone, right? To a point, we're all attached to our phone because it secretes a certain level of dopamine, and it triggers in our brain, and we want to experience everything that's going on. A lot of people are addicted to TikTok, YouTube, social media, Instagram. You know, a lot of people have done harm to themselves because of the attachments to this object. But if you turn this phone off, the attachment ceases to exist. And it's very powerful because the people that created this like know the algorithms. They know the things that the human mind and brains tends to do. They're like psychologically, they're really doing this to us to a point. And they all know that, you know, that the human is going to operate in this certain trajectory. But you also got to take breaks from even your phone, because your phone honestly could be considered the biggest attachment that we have throughout life, because we are always on it. You wake up, you go to sleep, you want to get on your phone, you want to scroll on Instagram, who's texting you, want to see your iMessage, you want to scroll on TikTok. That's a whole program in itself, short attention span programming, you know, and like all of it gets deep. If you go back into ancient cultures like the Egyptian society, I have a book right here I haven't read yet. It's called The Egyptian Book of the Dead. You know, this is like the first spiritual system that's ever been documented on Earth that I recommend that everyone read. It's going to be a book I read soon. They teach you, it's a concept that I heard when I was around 13 years old. I can't think of the deity's name or the energy's name, but it's the crocodile monster. The Libra. I happen to be a Libra. You weigh your heart. If your heart is lighter than a feather, your goal in life is for your heart, when you die, your soul, your heart, which they say resides in the heart, is to be weighed on the scale, the balance, the Libra, you know. So if your heart's heavier than the feather, they say your heart will get devoured by the crocodile deity monster, and then you'll get put into a reincarnation cycle and end up back here. But your heart is lighter than the feather, you'll transition on to higher realms of consciousness and states of mind and body, or whatever. Well, nobody, I don't know. Possibly not even body, possibly a different vessel. Who knows? At least my state of consciousness. Now, how to get it lighter than the feather? Attachment. They say the people, when you die, your life should be complete, because everything happens for a reason. Your life should be complete to the point where, oh, you enjoyed your family, your kids, everything. You feel like you did everything in your life. So when you're dead in them final moments, you didn't regret nothing. They say a lot of people die with plenty of regrets. Damn, I should have been a better father. Should have been a better son. I should have done this. I should have done that. I wish I didn't work as hard. I wish I would have done this. And that state of consciousness and vibration, 7 laws of the universe, I talked about in a previous video. I don't have the book on me right now, but it talks about your vibration. You got to master and rise above consciousness and enlightenment to above those worldly things, or your chakra system, rise up in the chakra system to not think a certain type of way, you know? So that's just a little food for thought, you know, because attachments, you know, in spiritual concepts, attachment can even suck you back into this whole nother life. You could, one day when you die, you could wake up as a whole nother being, you know, just based off of your attachments. But that's what I wanted to tell y'all about attachments. And if you hear him in the background, I apologize. Ignore him. But enjoy.